You guys, it is pantry challenge time once again. I love pantry challenge time. This is one of my favorite times of the year, and it's because I get to be really creative and really work through a lot of the things in my house. Now, I do pantry challenge twice each year, once in September for Shelf-tember, and then once in January and February. And I just started doing that over the last couple of years as the Three Rivers Challenge has really, become a thing. And so I'm finding that it's a little interesting to see the groove at a different time of year, but this year I'm totally feeling it. I have a ton of things that I would like to use up, and I am ready to get started. Also, welcome back. Thanks so much for clicking on this video. If you're new, thanks for coming here for the first time. I'm Carrie, and if you're returning, thanks so much for stopping by again. I'm so happy you're here. So I've done a few things differently this time. The first thing that I did differently this time is that I have made a list in Google Tasks, and I have all of the different things that I want to use up in here. I do need to finish the downstairs freezers, but that's going to help me out so much because I can just check off what we do and it doesn't delete it from the list. It just puts it in the completed section. So that way, at the end of Pantry Challenge, we can go back and see not only what we didn't accomplish, but what we did accomplish, which I think will be so much more beneficial than just seeing what we didn't accomplish. So I have a few goals with this Pantry Challenge, as we always do, and my goals this time aren't going to be as money focused as they have been in previous years. They're going to be mainly food focused, because something that I've been running into this year is I really like creating videos with a lot of food in them, but we are just a family of two, and if I make a ton of food, we have to eat the ton of food, and we don't always have enough time to go through the food before I want to make more food. So I have a lot of things in my freezers. I want to really go through a lot of that and try to get back to basics and then start up again. I'm not looking to completely go through all of our freezer meals. I would like to keep a lot of the single serve ones because we just did those. So if you didn't see that video, go check it out. It's a good one. I will link it here if I remember. But that one, we will have those in the freezer for a little while. But there's a lot of freezer meals in my garage that I want to go through. Those have been there for a little while, and I think it's time to start fresh on those kind of freezer meals. So what I plan to do is I am going to tour you through all of the freezers and the pantry, full pantry tour today, full freezer tour. And I'm also going to tell you every single rule that I will be following for this pantry challenge. So my first rule for this pantry challenge is just to use things up on the list every time that I cook, or almost every time that I cook. I know that won't always be possible, but I really want to dig into those items that have been in pantry challenges for multiple years in a row now. So one of the things that comes to mind is these sweet potatoes. I'm doing my best, you guys, but I still have 4 jars of these and I'm just not using them because they're super mushy. So I want to go through a few of these, and I have sweet potato gnocchis in the garage that I made with those last pantry challenge or the pantry challenge before, and we still haven't eaten them. So I want to really focus specifically on using those things up. For this pantry challenge specifically is that I want to use something every time I cook, if I can, that's from my list of things to use up. Not necessarily every single time I eat something, but every time I cook, I want to be using those ingredients. So that's going to be a challenge. We will see how well we do, but that is one of my goals, at least most of the time, we'll say, right? Because might not end up with exactly every time. The next goal is I don't want to be placing any large grocery orders throughout the entire time. So I'm not going to give myself specifically a small budget each time, but I'm going to limit the types of items that I can buy to items that are more of necessities, either for our day-to-day, like we order bananas every week, or we go to the store to get bananas. I order my groceries most of the time. Things like that. Soy milk, I've started getting just the soy milk in the half gallon from the store instead of getting the shelf stable ones that are a quart, because I'm now getting groceries ordered more often than I used to go to the store, and those are cheaper. So I'm making swaps for cheaper items, but I also don't want to completely deplenish everything to where I really can't make anything. So I am going to let myself have that little bit of, get the bananas every week, get the couple little ingredients that we need throughout the week, and other items like that. I also plan to buy some beef when it goes on sale. I need ground beef and I need beef that isn't ground. Once I find those on sale or once I get to Sam's Club, whichever comes first, I will be buying beef, but that's an item that I'm not necessarily trying to go through. I just, keep replenishing it as I need to. But a major rule that comes with ordering bigger quantities of things, like when I get the beef, is that I have to find it on a good deal. I do not want to go to the store and get beef right now because I'm out of beef that isn't ground beef because it's not on sale. So I'm going to wait until it's on sale and buy it then. In a perfect world, I would have already bought it when it was on sale so I didn't run out, but I don't go through that much beef other than ground beef, and so I was okay with letting it run out. So this year, a little bit more fluid with my rules. The big goal is just use the items. It's more about the food than it is about the money this year for me, because what I've noticed since the last time I did Pantry Challenge in September is I've basically been making my food purchases like I've been on a Pantry Challenge ever since then. I only spend, $15 to $100 a week just replenishing the things. But the one factor that I haven't been doing is using up the things that I need to. I've been using things, but I've been using what I want to. So let's get into these pantries and show you what all I want to use up, need to use up. A big change from the last time that I did a pantry tour is I reorganized my whole kitchen, including everywhere that I used to keep food. And so all of the food is now in here in the pantry, aside from any food in a fridge or a freezer. Also, if you haven't seen it, I did post a video of me completely organizing all of the cabinets, and that was a good one. You should go check that out. The kitchen is completely organized. It feels great. All of the food is in the pantry. That feels great. So we will go through the pantry and then we will go through all of the freezers, all 4 of them. Yes, 4. And we will talk through what I want to use up. So before we jump into the canning pantry, I just want to show you that I have the items that I want to use up listed here: baked beans, pie filling, sweet potatoes, sweet chili sauce, and zucchini pineapple. And that is just everything that doesn't fit down below. Now I might be able to pull some of those things down now, but I like to keep them up there because then I have enough room down here, and I can't reach up there anyways. So the next shelf down is stock, and I am quite low on stock compared to how much I usually have. You can see up here that this whole section in here is empty, and this here is actually the pie filling that I want to use up. It's blueberry pie filling, and I usually have a ton of stock, but this year I've specifically made sure that my stock isn't watered down, and so I have less. So we will likely be making stock pretty soon. Now this next shelf down is all beans. I have the canned refried beans that you just mash up once you're done, and that's also the same thing as chili beans. So we've got those. Here's something that I want to use up. I've been trying to use this up forever. Oh my gosh, 2020. I need to use these baked beans up. They have been in here for far too long. That's 4 years ago. That's, I think, the oldest thing in here. I have a few white navy beans. That's not too bad, 2022. And then this year, I canned up the black beans. So that's 2024. And then over here, I have some chickpeas from 2022. And funny thing is, these were in a pantry challenge, not these specific ones, but ones that I had canned before. And I ended up figuring out that I really like having them in curries, so I made them again. But I haven't eaten a whole lot of curry or made a whole lot of curry recently. So we might need to use some of these, but these are not going to be one of the main items on my list this year because I already have a list that is big. Next down is the vegetables: corn, sweet potatoes, green beans, carrots, and spaghetti sauce. And honestly, I don't plan to ever can any of these again. Everything is just a little too mushy. I would rather have it frozen. And sweet potatoes, I don't know. I've really struggled with the sweet potatoes because these are mushy, but otherwise they're hard and they take forever to cook. Next up is the little section. This is apple jelly, followed by strawberry jam. And these are all still good, haven't been here very long. Enchilada sauce or green salsa, same thing basically. This is some sweet chili sauce that is separated. I want to use this up because it's been in here since 22. And then I have some salsa that we canned this year, and there's some more of that in the fridge. We also canned up some mushrooms this year, so we are restocked on those. And then these we just did, both of these two, onion jam. This, you guys, this is my favorite. It's so good. I use some onion jam to make bagels, and it's delicious. And then we also canned up some apple chili jam, and these are just smaller containers of carrots. Now this shelf is the meat. I have a ton of chicken. We go through that pretty regularly. That's just something that I like to keep stocked. And then pork on this side, and I don't go through that all that often, and so I do need to use that up. It's good for like barbecue pork sandwiches, like pulled pork sandwiches, super quick and easy. I do, however, want to use up this beef from 2021. That's been on my list as well. I won't can beef again. I don't love beef being canned, and so that's something I just won't do. And then pork, I might only can a couple jars at a time if I do it, because I just have far too many. And the last shelf of the canning pantry is all of the zucchini pineapple, followed by potatoes. So potatoes, that's great. The zucchini pineapple, these front three I did last year, so I would like to go through them because we have a ton more behind it. But if we don't, that's okay. And, you know, after looking at this and thinking about my list, I might want to go through some of those items that say 2022. So I'm going to think about that. Maybe that'll be a bonus if we go through those items. All right, pivoting right on over from the canning pantry is my dry goods. So at the top, we have tapioca starch and potato starch, followed by a little bit of hash browns, which I didn't put on my list, but I might want to go through those. We have just a little bit left of them. We have our sweet rice flour and our cornmeal, and then peppers. So I do want to go through some of those peppers, but if I were to go through those peppers, I need to make probably something for my friend because we don't eat peppers in this house really, and my friend likes peppers. Next down, we have the sugar. I mean, these are the things, you know, a lot of them that I use all the time. Grits, which I bought way too big of a container of. I know for the future, never buy as big of a container as I did because I rarely use them. That is on the list of things to use, but I have another container still with even more grits. I bought like a 5-pound bag, way too much. Next up is rice flour, which I use for making my sourdough bowls, and of course I use it in any recipe that calls for it. And then oats and powdered sugar. And then next down we have jasmine rice and our flour, our milk, our basmati rice, and then all of our little teeny tiny ones. So quick, we have cocoa, chocolate chips, salt, cornstarch, panko, baking soda, and baking powder. Did you think that was all? We have more over here. We have Dutch cocoa. We have a few empty containers, and then we have some dry goods at the top that I would like to use a little bit of, and then all of these fake sugars, gluten-free flours. I'm not going to specifically write out each one, but I would like to make a dent in some of these, at least the ones that have been in here for a little bit. Now, right below the canning pantry is where we keep all of our like protein bars, protein sticks. And so we have basically just a bunch of stuff that we continually use. I do have some popcorn in the back that's been in here for a really long time, but I don't think that's going to go bad. Maybe it will, maybe we'll use it. I'm not going to put that on the list, but everything else in here hasn't been in here for very long. And we restock it often. This is not people food in this bottom section. This is just all of the cat's food, but I keep that pretty stocked as well. Okay, straight over from the cat food, I have all of the extras of the rice, the beans, the oats, which I don't go through a ton of oats, so I probably bought too many oats last time I bought oats. And then right above them, I did just organize that because it was a little chaotic. It used to have the milk in here, the soy milk, but I don't have that kind of soy milk anymore. Trying to get it fresh because it's cheaper. This is all of my like extras for baking though. And so in here, the only things that really need to be used up are the wheat flour that I have back here. That wheat flour could potentially be rancid, I'm not sure. And then the more grits, which, oh my gosh, so many grits. And when I used grits in my last pantry challenge, I made something with grits and then I put it in the freezer and it's still in the freezer. All right, it's the snack drawer. We usually don't have this much like all different kinds of things in here, but these were a gift for my husband for his birthday and I'm of course the one eating them. These were so I could make the candies. Same with this. This is leftover from when I was making candies. But you know, the candy drawer, we always have a candy drawer. Here is the main part of my pantry, and I will go through each thing. The very top is just cereals and crackers, and I will keep this stocked up throughout the pantry challenge because we eat cereal for breakfast occasionally. Down here, I have graham crackers and oatmeal, more oatmeal, and we haven't used that oatmeal in so long, so I need to use that oatmeal. All the oatmeals. Raisins, oh, I didn't put raisins on the list, but I need to use the raisins up and this marshmallow cream, which I've just been eating that by the spoonful since I made the candy videos. And then we have some nuts that I used to make candy, and then an extra one in case I wanted to make more candy. And these are all of the extra condiments that would refill the ones that I have in the fridge, but in the back, there's a cooking wine, and I've been avoiding using it because I know that when I drink wine, it gives me a migraine. And so I'm wondering if cooking with wine would do the same thing. I haven't been brave enough to test that theory. So if you've cooked with wine and have been fine, but you have migraines from drinking wine, let me know. Okay, next down is our protein chips shelf. And on my list to use up is this Atkins protein chips. I do not like these. I will only be buying the Quest brand from now on because those are our favorite in literally every flavor that they have. And then I have an overflow of noodles. So I just have some lasagna noodles, a bunch of different kind of noodles. I do want to use up the rest of this orzo, just a little bit of it. And then I did recently stock up on noodles because I needed to get to $35 in my order. So I bought a bunch. I do need to finish using these protein penne. These are halfway gone. And I would also like to use some of the barley and quinoa because I have a ton of it and I don't really know exactly what to do with it. I forgot that I had this. Apparently earlier I didn't look very carefully because I also have rice noodles back here, and I definitely want to use rice noodles. So I'm gonna need to update my list. And the final shelf down here is just all of our like canned store-bought ingredients. And so everything in here basically is just stuff that we go through. I did buy too many of these curry pastes one time because I couldn't find it for months and months. So I bought a ton, but I didn't need as many as I bought. I would like to use the, if you can see it in here, this Thai curry paste. I do not like this brand, so I haven't used it, but I would like to use it up so that it's out of here. And then everything else in here, basically from here over, is stuff that I like to keep stocked because we use it often. Like we always are using olives and green chilies and such. And I know green chilies, I said earlier about peppers, but these seem to be okay for my stomach. So next up, we just have some store-bought sauces and zucchini powder that I made up, and then all of our little powders. And I saw this in here and I went, how did that get here? I bought cream of soup for a few recipes this Christmas time, and I guess I bought it and I didn't make the recipe yet, and then bought it again because I didn't remember that I had bought it, something like that. I do want to use up these cans of tuna. I don't know if we'll necessarily do that then, but I just don't gravitate towards using the cans because if I'm making tuna, it's because I'm on the go. And so, oh look, there's extra pasta there that we need to use up. So it's not the protein penny one that's opened. It's this one. That's the one we need to use. But I like to use tuna on the go. And then down here I have this. I have a few things. This Caribbean jerk that has soy sauce in it. Soy sauce gives me migraine, so I haven't done anything with it. And then there's Japanese barbecue sauce back there that I bought because my husband said it was really good when he was at a restaurant, and we never opened it. And now I'm pretty sure all the soy sauce things give me migraines. So I'll need to open that for him, but I don't know how to use it because I don't know what the flavor of it is. We'll figure out what to do with that. So last up is that we have the top and then the sides. In the top is all of the like Augustin Farms containers that I don't have opened yet. And then down below, I have some things to make tamales, which I'm not even sure if they're still good. I did have to throw the lard out that was up there, and those were up there with the lard that kind of went rancid. So I think I might need to throw those out. But in here, I have kind of a bunch of stuff shoved. I have a cake mix that I was going to make for Nick's birthday, but I didn't because I ended up buying the cake. I would like to use these cherries though. And then I have like some apple pie and then some other milks and such back there. Now this is something new. I did say I'm not buying the soy milk that is shelf stable anymore, but I did start buying whole milk that is shelf stable because when I'm cooking, there's a lot of times that I need milk. And it's just better to have milk that's milk and not milk that's frozen, because when you thaw the milk, if you don't thaw it slowly, it kind of separates. So now we have milk. I would like to use this last thing of Jell-O and the last thing of pudding, but otherwise this is just butters, peanut butters and such, and then frosting, and those will be completely fine. And very last spot of the pantry, we have all of the candy making supplies and some fake syrup. But candy making supplies, carob chips. I do need to look at the shortening and see if that is still good. I don't use shortening like ever, so I need to either use the shortening or get rid of it if it's bad. And then down here, I have all of the extra nuts and chocolate chips and such, which are just fine. Okay, I realized that I missed a side of the pantry. This is not food. This is just like a junk drawer of kitchen supplies, but I do have food down here. This is where I store the powdered sugar, the flour, and then the oils and the vinegars. Here is what my fridge is currently looking like. It is, I mean, there's not a whole lot in it. I have a lot of potatoes from the garden, but this is kind of how I like to keep my fridge, just kind of bare minimum. And I do like to not have a ton of condiments, but this is pretty much about the condiments that we always have. I don't think there's really anything in here that I need to use up, except, well, maybe this. What's this? It's more wine. Yeah, I'm going to put that up there, more cooking wine. So that's something that I need to use up. But otherwise, I think we are pretty solid here. All right, the inside freezer. Here is an overview of what is in there. So starting on the door, we have all of the fruits, tons of different fruits. I don't use these a ton in the winter, but once it's smoothie season, we will be using them a lot. And then I keep my yeast and brown sugar down there. Brown sugar, if you keep it in the freezer, it never gets dried out. It's always moist when you thaw it, and it doesn't take very long to thaw out. In this bottom drawer, I have a few things that I would like to use. I have some donuts that I need to grind up and use to make a pie. I have some cookies that we need to cook. There are this almond bark. I'd like to use that for Valentine's Day. And then I have some fudge, which is delicious. And then popsicles are just in case we get sick. We have popsicles. Now, this is just a hodgepodge of different vegetables that are like half opened and in the freezer. So I want to use anything that's opened that I could use. So there's a lot of things in here, just like half used. Now, things like onions, I do like to keep onions in here, so I don't want to like use all the onions and not replenish. But that's kind of this drawer of bunch of stuff. We have some French fries and chicken nuggets back there, but then this is just all burritos. We are running lower on burritos. My husband loves these. I don't really eat burritos that much because I don't usually remember to thaw them, and I don't really like them microwaved right from the freezer. And then this one has some hash browns because I needed hash browns for a recipe. And this is just like extra little bits of meats and such, or any ingredients. That's all this really is ingredients for making things, and I guess the extra leftover turkey. So then next up is my bread. So this is all, well, what's this? That's just a chicken bone that I'm trying to save to get a bunch of chicken bones to make more broth. So far I have one bone because that's how much I remembered. But this is where I have all of my like loaf bread. And then this is just some breakfast casserole that I just shoved there because that's where it fit. Here's the grits casserole, which I guess I can put on top of the other casserole. So we're good on breakfast casseroles. We have a few banana nut muffins left, and then a few of each of the 3 different types of bagels that we made, the sun-dried tomato, the French toast, and the onion jam. Delicious. And then these are all just a bunch of single serve meals that we've made, and anything that's in a bag like this is single serve like soup. And so we've got turkey broth and we've got a couple soups going on. We are now at the outside freezer, and it's a little echoey in here, so hopefully it doesn't sound too echoey for you. We have just some buns from the store that probably should be used, but if we don't, that's okay. Same with these. We won't use them all, but they're there. Those are just those like hash brown type of things. We have some pork that we made, which that is delicious. I love having all these marinated porks, and then we just throw them in the air fryer. That is super convenient. I have some egg whites and orange juice that probably need to be used up. The egg whites haven't been in here that long, but here's those gnocchi that I was talking about that we need to use up. And then I do want to use everything that's up here. This top shelf doesn't have a lot, but it does have a few things. There's some things of chili. We have some peanut chicken. We have some meatloaf, enchiladas, and then the last of the hamburgers and the chicken burgers that we made. So we made chicken burgers in the summer, and there's like one left of that one, two left of that one. So I would like to go through those. But otherwise, we just have some tater tots, and we have some pretzels because that was for my husband's party, but we didn't use those ones. And then I keep my butter and my brown sugar in the freezer. Okay, here is the chest freezer, and I have 3 of these inserts. I bought 2 extra from what it came with. Down below, I have some pork bones that are ready to be turned into stock, but there's not very many of them. I also have 2 things of ribs and a thing of chicken wings, and then I have quite a few little quart bags of different kinds of diced chicken. So we have tons of diced chicken down there, and I want to go through what's up top first for chicken. So I have the older things of chicken. So we have our chicken thighs and our chicken breasts, and I want to go through these before I go through the ones down there. So I'm going to leave those down there. I do want to go through the drumsticks. I have 2 things of drumsticks. And then over on this side, I have a bunch of the pork that's diced that isn't marinated. Those I don't plan to go through. We have our breakfast sausage, which we do need to go through before I make more breakfast sausage. We only have 2 left, which is great because there's a spice in here that I don't love so much. And then I have ground chicken that I would like to go through. We have 4.5 pounds of ground chicken. So I do plan to go through some of that. And the last of the freezers is the chest freezer. On the door, I have a bunch of vegetables, which now actually it's fruits and vegetables kind of in most of this freezer. So we have the tomatillos from the garden that I would like to do something with. I have some green onions, and then these store-bought carrots, I don't think I'm going to buy it anymore. I didn't really like them. So what I do like is fresh carrots that have been blanched and frozen. So that's what I will be doing from now on, is freezing blanched carrots, either from the garden or from the store. And then I just have some Brussels sprouts and broccoli. And then on the top here, tons of tomatoes. We're going to be doing some tomato projects. What I've been using this for recently is diced tomatoes or crushed tomatoes, either of those really. I've just been taking out however many I need, putting them in the microwave, and then taking the skins off. And that's been working really well in my recipes. So that's a win. I also have the zucchini and squash from this year and last year's garden. I want to go through all of it from last year's garden. That way I only have this year's garden stuff in the freezer. And then I have a ton of fruit, tons of grapes, tons of pears. And so that's mainly for smoothies, but I might want to do something else with it as well, because that's a lot of smoothies. Now, the bottom part of the door, we have 2 things of spinach from, I think one's from the garden and one is from the store. I do want to use those up because this spinach is a little older. And then some green beans, some corn, and some peas. And then starting from the bottom, I have a bunch of shredded cheese. I do prefer to shred my own cheese, but that's just something that hasn't been in the cards for a while. If you weren't here last year, I was dizzy for most of the year and I was not able to shred the cheese, and I just haven't picked it back up yet. But I do have a whole bunch of different meats in here. Lunch meat, a few little sausages, some bacon. This is one of the things that I want to cook up. I will not eat bacon if it's not already ready. So I need to get a bunch of bacon cooked up in the air fryer and frozen after being cooked. And then the last shelf I have, what is this? These are bone-in pork chops. I definitely want to use that. That's from 2022. So we're going to have bone-in pork chops, it seems. And then this is all of the green beans from my garden. That was so good. We have tons of green beans. And then this is all I have left for ground beef. I just have 4 pounds. And so I do need to use this specific one because it's been in here a little bit. It's kind of a different one. It's ground beef for chili. It just has a different texture. It's delicious, but it's not for every single thing. But I am going to buy more ground beef. And as you noticed, nothing else in here is beef. So we will be buying some beef as well. All right, so that was the pantry, the fridge, And then both freezers, the outside fridge just has drinks in it. That's usually my husband's fridge for anything that he wants that's not water. So that's all we have there. We also have a whole cabinet that we keep coffee and coffee supplies in, and I just rotate through those as we need more. It's pretty cyclical, right? We have the same types of things all the time. So that's all the food that we have. The plan, I want to be using the things up. I am excited. I plan to post videos every week or so, kind of showing the progress of where I'm at and what I'm doing in between making big meals to try to eat through some of these things. And I'm excited to get started. I'm definitely feeling pantry challenge season because over the last few weeks, I've really been starting pantry challenge almost because I've been using up so many things that I've been wanting to use up for a while, just like the last 2 weeks. Before that, we weren't quite there yet, but I'm ready. We're getting started now, and I hope you follow along with this journey over the next couple of months. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new here and you haven't yet, please subscribe. I'd love to see you. If you're interested in watching some other pantry challenge videos of mine, I will link them here, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.